6:30 a.m. and 8:30 p.m. and Saturday at 6:30 p.m. We did before this with my husband the show Just Between Us, and that also plays on the internet. I might add that for our view, you can go to tvsb.tv and go to On Demand and then scroll down alphabetically to our view. For Just Between Us, which Bill and I did for several years, you can play on the internet by just going to Just Between Us. And I am so delighted today to have two wonderful guests. The first one that I'm going to introduce is our new co-host of this show, Marty. Marty Jenkins. Welcome, Marty.
Thank you.
Marty started his career in high tech, right?
Yes, in Silicon Valley.
In Silicon Valley, and he came in 1928.
1983.
1983. Oh, 28 is when I was born. Sorry, at age 91 I got a little mixed up here. He came here to Santa Barbara to work for 25 years.
Well, no, 83 is when I started with Information Magnetics and was with them for a couple of years.
Okay.
And then not long thereafter, in the 90s, I was the executive director of Las Positas Park Foundation.
Okay.
So those are probably the two things. And I retired 10 years ago.
Yes, and I knew Marty years ago when I started with this station, and he was on a crew. I started with Live After 65, and then I went with my husband Bill to Just Between Us. And Marty worked on a crew. And it is our pleasure today to have Marty and Ken Ralph tell about a group they started, which is just wonderful, Showers of Blessing. And I'm going to have you introduce our guest as my co-host and also as the founder for the first 7 years of Showers of Blessing. Marty, so you take the ball now.
Well, Showers of Blessing started about 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I was one of the initial people there. During that period of time, we had, it was actually a gal named Jill Wallstead, and possibly you can show her on the first slide. And she was a part of a group in Isla Vista that was working with the homeless. And as a part of St. Bridget, which was a part of St. Athanasius. And during that period of time, there's Jill as they were working with the homeless. They determined that the homeless really would need showers. And through that then, she and St. Bridget and St. Athanasius then evolved into a group that became Showers of Blessing.
Now, Marty, you volunteered for so many nonprofits, but we are concentrating today on Showers of Blessing,
Indeed.
which you co-founded and were on the board like the first 7 years, and then continue talking about it and introduce Ken Ralph when you wish.
Well, we've shown the first slide. If we bring up the second slide, we can see actually the shower at the first location, and two of our early people. Pastor Ron Cox, that you see with the cap, was a co-founder, and his church, actually, Christ Lutheran, bought the shower trailer and all. You might see also and recognize Margaret Connell, who was an early part of Goleta, and she was a part of the early operation. If we move to the next slide then, we can see the group of people in front of the shower at the first location. So we can see in that towards the left is Sandy Miller, and 4 from the left is Doug Miller. And they were co-founders with Pastor Cox. And others you can see the people who were volunteers and staff in the earliest of days. If we then move to the next slide, we can see Doug Miller. And Doug was the key person that brought about Showers of Blessing.
What was his affiliation for Showers of Blessing?
Doug had been the pastor of the First Baptist Church in Santa Barbara. And before that, he had been a professor of ethics at Eastern Baptist Seminary. And he came out and in the early 90s was the pastor at First Baptist.
Okay.
He had been very involved with the homeless and all, and came up with the idea. So he